flies, I'd pound my favorite mitt. Hey, batter up, I stepped to the plate. The crowd yelled out my name. Then I would swing and get it all. How I love this game of baseball. He's on first, riding second. Baseball. Under third and heading straight for baseball. He's on first, riding second. Baseball. Under third and heading straight for. I still recall.
What's up, subscribers? Hope everybody's having a great Saturday afternoon. I want to share a little video today. I'm all baseball out. I got my Met hat on and my Met jersey on. And of course, the great Rocky Balboa and the great Vince Vega. I want to share a story. I was speaking to my dear friend, and everybody, if you can, please like, share, and subscribe to the Dave Gass show. He's a blogger or a vlogger. He dropped a great video yesterday about narcissists, and we've all come across a few of them in our lifetime. They are the worst people you can actually work for, and I agree with everything he said in the video. Check it out and subscribe to his show. Like, share, and subscribe. He's a great man, and I was speaking to him before texting, and he made me remember something when I was a kid. It's a baseball story, and the Mets have a big weekend here. They lost last night, and they gotta play the Braves on Monday, a doubleheader, and they gotta win these games, or they're not gonna get in. I'm a big, huge Met fan, but today I want to share a little story. Hopefully, it won't be too long, but I like to talk, and I love the camera, so we'll see how long it goes. I'll share the story. First, I want to show you this baseball because there's a lot to do with this baseball. You see this baseball? This baseball was signed in 1978 when I was 10 years old. What happened was, for those older subscribers, I'm sure you've had them in all your towns around the cities of the world, wherever you live. I belonged to the Boys Club of America back in those days. That's where kids went. You know, they taught you, life lessons and everything. It was like a clubhouse. And all the young kids hung out. They had counselors. We would play baseball. We would play, badminton, But the one thing that I learned in that place, which would turn out to be a major problem for me, but in a good way, I guess, I learned the game of billiards there, pool. So when I was 10 years old, I learned how to play pool, and I actually became a pool hustler. So through the years, I used to win a lot of money playing pool. I was running tables by the age of 12, and I would hustle older guys. I'd go into bars, and back then you can get into bars at 15, 16 years old, and I would walk out of the bar with $100, $200, $300, and sometimes a little bit of fisticuffs. But that's for a whole nother story. I could share on that. But I did learn, of all things, the game of pool at the Boys Club of America. But in New Jersey, where it's raining like Noah's Ark out here, so I'm inside. I'm in my beautiful kitchen. I dropped a couple of videos in my kitchen, and I hung the great Quentin Tarantino movie, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. That's a must-watch. It's one of the greatest movies. It's an unbelievable movie. It's definitely one that you should check out. Well, this is a baseball story, very interesting story. Now, at the Boys Club in America was in Belford, New Jersey. I grew up in Belford, New Jersey, a little small town. And the lady that ran the Boys Club of America for our particular township was the mother of a baseball pitcher by the name of John Montefusco. They used to call him the Count. And this is the autographed baseball that he signed for the story I'm about to tell you. Back then, we have Middletown North. I shared my baseball story that I pitched for Middletown North against Middletown South. But back in those days, it was just Middletown, one school. And he was a graduate. There's only been two players that I know of. One I played with that ever was locally around this area I grew up in that made the show. A guy by the name of Rob Lukacek, who I played Little League with, and I played against in high school, and he was my all-star teammate through the years. He made the Montreal Expos in 1997 at the age of 27 years old. He got called up in a late September call-up. He got up, they called him up to at-bat, and I believe he struck out. But he had one at-bat. His name was announced. He's in the Baseball Almanac. That's how you can tell that I'm not lying or anything. You look up Rob Lukacek, you'll see his name in it. If you had one at-bat or you were announced in the game but didn't even get in the game, it counts as you made the major league. So they have every player that's ever played baseball, that's ever been a major leaguers on baseballalmanac.com. It's kind of like Wikipedia. Oh, but true. You know, baseballalmanac.com. It lists by alphabetical order every player that's ever played the great game of baseball. So, John Montefusco was a pitcher for the San Francisco Giants, and I believe he pitched for the New York Yankees, and he threw a no-hitter, I believe, with the New York Yankees. Some of the older subscribers might have heard of him. I'm sure none of the younger ones ever heard of him. He hung around the major leagues for a good 10, 12 years, and he made his millions. He was known for off the field. He had a lot of problems, domestic violence charges, alcoholism, drugs, you know how it goes. But I think he straightened out his life now. I don't know where he is now. You know, you don't hear him in the media or nothing. But his name was John Montefusco. They used to go by the count. He had a very, very unorthodox pitching motion. Very, very strange pitching motion. And this was the baseball that he signed for me for the story I'm about to tell you. Okay, in the summer of 1978, like I said, his mother ran the boys club. We got an awesome opportunity. She took all the boys. There were girls too there. It was boys and girls. They called it the boys club, but back then, you know how it was. There was girls too. And they used to take us like on camping trips. You know, some of the counselors played the guitar. We'd sit around fires. We played spin the bottle, all that kind of stuff back in those days and everything. And I think my first kiss was on one of those things at the boys club. I kissed a girl, one of the counselors. That was pretty cool. And then she called me Virgin Lips after that, and I was embarrassed. But I never kissed a girl in my life. So how am I supposed to know what I'm doing? So I'm Virgin Lips, but that's got nothing to do with this story. So I always got to bring up women in these stories. What is it? One of my big fans, shout out to Tom Giraldi if you see this. It's like you always got to bring up a girl in every video, no matter what you're talking about. So there you go again, I brought up a girl. Well, anyway, in 1978, we got to go to Shea Stadium in New York, and we got to sit in the dugout of the San Francisco Giants when they played the New York Mets. Now, I don't know who pitched for the New York Mets that day, and I was a Met fan. But we sat in the dugout, the San Francisco Giant dugout. Could you imagine that? I was 10 years old. Now, back then, if that happened today, they'd make a whole big deal about it. Like they'd have, there'd be people there making sure the kids were happy and the kids were occupied. These baseball players treated us like shit. They wanted nothing to do. They were aggravated that we were in there. It was a very, very funny experience I'm about to tell you, and a very bad experience because you look up to these players. You look up to these players. They're your heroes and everything. And at that age, you think they're invincible, great people. They don't do anything wrong. They're professional athletes. They eat right. They do everything right. They don't get in trouble. Kids at that age, you're very, you're very innocent and everything. And I was very innocent. I looked up to baseball players. I didn't think they smoked, drank, did anything but play baseball. So we're sitting in the dugout. Now, John Montefusco, he signed the baseballs before the game. He did not say nothing to us. He had his game face on. He didn't really talk to anybody. Because he's pitching, and I understand as a former pitcher too, you don't want to be bothered with or whatever. So he was very, very not friendly. He just, pitching and getting his game face. We were told to stay away from him. Don't even talk to him. Don't even go near him, okay? So I'm sitting in the dugout, and not one player is saying, "How you doing, kid? What's up, kid?" Just sitting there. And at one point, I'm like, this fucking sucks, because this is like, and you don't really see the game good from the dugout. I'm used to playing, you want to sit in the stands and see it better. So I'm sitting there, and nobody's talking to me. I remember seeing, like, these players look like giants. I'm a little 10-year-old boy, and these guys look like they were friggin' giants. And I remember Jack Clark, for those subscribers. He was like a power hitter, pretty good player, whatever. I'm sure people heard of Jack Clark. To me, he looked like he was 10 feet tall. He was so tall, and he was a big, tall guy. Now back then they weren't like all juiced up like they are today. Excuse me. Starting to feel better. Just got a little phlegm still, but I just had a cigarette. That's not gonna help. So he looked like he was 10, 20 feet tall to me. He was like a beanpole. But my God, I remember looking at him. My head kept going and going. Go, my God, how tall could you possibly be? You know. So I'm sitting in a dugout. I'm watching the game or whatever, and I'm getting up. I'm walking around. I'm bored. All of a sudden, I say, you know what? I'm just going to go up. I see a gentleman sitting there, and his leg, his hamstring, is all wrapped up. I mean, totally wrapped up, and he looked like he was in pain. And he had like he had his leg all wrapped up, and he was in pain. I could just tell like he looked miserable. But I'm like, I want to go up to him and say what happened to him. You know what I mean? Like I'm a kid or whatever and everything. I didn't know who he was at the time. What I'm about to tell you, he was actually a pretty good baseball player, and he had a lot of hits in his career, and he was known for an average hitter. So I walk up to him, like I say, nobody's being friendly. No, you're basically, I don't remember how many kids went. If I can remember, there wasn't that many. If there was 3 or 4 of us, because I remember just sitting there all by myself going, this sucks. Nobody's talking to me, and these are supposed to be, my heroes and shit, and they really ain't even paying attention to me. I'm like, this is really weird. So I said, you know what, fuck it. Let me go up to him and say something to him. Maybe he'll be nice to me, right? So I walk up to him, right? And I just sit down next to him. And I don't say anything. He don't say anything to me, but he kind of like moves over. And then he goes to me, how you doing, kid? You play baseball? I'm like, wow, maybe the guy's nice. I said, yeah, I'm a pitcher and a first baseman. I'm lefty, yeah. He's like, oh, you're here with John's mom, right? I go, yeah, she's a nice lady and everything, yeah, and everything. I said, can I ask you what happened to you? He's like, yeah, I pulled my hamstring, so I'm on the disabled list. And I go, what's that? I forgot. He's like, oh, when you're injured, you're out for so many games and everything. So he's talking to me and everything, and I ask him, like, what's your name? He's like, my name is Bill Madlock. And for those older subscribers, Bill Madlock, I believe, played for the Pirates and the Giants. I think he's known more for the Pirates. He was a scrappy player, kind of like a Kirby Puckett type. Not a power hitter, but he hit. I think he's known. I think he had a career 300 average, and he might have had over 2,000 hits. I don't think he had 3,000 hits. I know that, but he had a lot of hits. So he was being nice to me and everything. We were talking about baseball and stuff, and he was showing me, watching how the guys hit and everything. And I actually felt like, wow, finally, this is a really nice guy. I'll never forget how nice he was to me. You don't forget things like that when you're a kid. So I always remembered Bill Madlock, and to this day, wherever you are, Bill Madlock, like, share, and subscribe to FGF Production. I have to say the man was a class act. So here's where the story gets funny, right? He said to me he had to get up and go do something or get his bats together and stuff, or give some of the guys advice. So I'm sitting there all by myself. But I watch him when he walks away and everything, and I see him kind of go down. He's kind of like in like a hallway part of the dugout, and he's looking down like on the steps. So then he comes past me and he goes to the other side, and he's doing something, and he's talking to one of the coaches or whatever, right? Now the game's going on, and the manager's doing his manager stuff, so nobody's really paying attention. The players on the bench, not even talking to you. You don't even exist. And that would never happen today. Today, they'd make a whole big deal about it. They'd be, welcome to the game, and, it's a different world in 1978. Kids were to be seen, not heard of, or whatever that saying was or whatever. So I wanted to see what he went. So I start walking where he was, and I look to see if he's watching. Nobody's paying attention. I see there's steps there. I walk down the steps, right? And then you go down like in a corridor, and I'm like, fuck, what do I turn? I kind of like got scared because I got lost, like. I'm like, shit. So I keep walking, I make a right. Now I go into the clubhouse, but the clubhouse was huge, and I see like in the back corner, there's people doing stuff, there's a table and everything. I start walking, all of a sudden I come across a table of about 12 or 13 players. They're literally sitting around the table, right? They're smoking cigarettes and drinking beer and playing cards. I stop in my tracks. I'm like, you guys are baseball players. You're not supposed to be doing that kind of stuff. That's bad stuff. All of a sudden, one of the guys, Who the fuck is this kid? Get this fucking kid out of here. Are you fucking kidding me? How did he even get down here, this fucking little fucking punk? The guy called me a little punk. I'm a 10-year-old boy at a baseball game. That's how you talk to me, you fucking bunch of fucking scrubs? That's why you weren't in a fucking game? They're sitting there at the table, smoking cigarettes and drinking beer and playing cards and yelling at me. Get this fucking little fucking prick out of here and everything. I go, that's not nice. You don't talk to me like that. I'm a baseball player like you guys are. Get the fuck out of here, right? So here comes fucking, like, the security thing. What are you doing down here? Who are you with? How'd you get in here? I said, I'm with the Boys Club of America. What is that? The guy was a jerk with the security guard. I said, I'm in the dugout. I'm with John Montefusco's mother. He's pitching today. We came on a trip. This is how you talk to me? I'm a 10-year-old kid. Oh, Jesus Christ. Now Bill Matlock fucking hears all that, and he comes and he gets me. He's like, come on, Frankie, come on. I'm like, Mr. Madlock. He's like, call me Bill. I'm like, why were they drinking and smoking? They're baseball players. They're not supposed to be doing that stuff. My dad said that's bad when people do that. Bad people do that stuff. You're a baseball player. How do you play baseball and do that? And he kind of like had a smirk on his face. He's like, you're 100% right, kid. That's wrong what they were doing. When you get older, you'll understand, but you're exactly right. I don't drink, he said. I don't do that. I'm more about prep, and I take the game seriously. You know, everybody can do their own thing and everything, but I understand you're upset. I said, I'm really upset because I always had, an idea that baseball players are heroes, and they're doing stuff like that. I can't believe they would do that, Mr. Madlock called me Bill, right? So he takes me up back into the thing, and he's telling me, that's, you grow up, you make sure you don't do that. People make choices in life and stuff. And if you want to be a Major League Baseball player, you got to eat your Wheaties, drink your milk. Yeah, whatever. Like I heard that before. And, you work hard and your dreams can't come true and everything, But I'm sorry you saw that. And that's not a good example we're setting and everything. But you shouldn't have been down there. You should have waited for me to come back and everything. He's like, you know what? Let's go to the other side of the clubhouse. You want me to throw you some wiffle balls and let me see your stance and everything. So I went there and he was pitching to me and he's showing me batting stances and everything. All I got to say is Bill Madlock, wherever you are, even if you're still alive, I think he passed away. I think he passed away within the last few years. I remember seeing that going, wow, Bill Madlock. I sat with him in the dugout at Shea Stadium. He was a San Francisco Giant at the time, but known more for being a Pittsburgh Pirate. I think he did pass away. He was really nice to me. But you know something? My youth, my innocence, you could say, died that day in July of 1978. After that, I was like, fuck these guys. They're just like anybody else. You know what I mean? They're just like anybody else. They don't give a fuck. And part of me really, did feel like I won't look up to these guys. I'll be my own person. And I love the game still, but I'm never going to, look up to these fucking losers. And that's the story. It's pretty funny how, that back then they didn't, today they make a whole big deal with kids. They put the red carpet out for you, they honor you, they do all that. Back in those days, they didn't do shit like that. So I just thought I'd share that story in the Shea Stadium, with the San Francisco Giants and John Montefusco, who pitched. I think he pitched 2 no-hitters, if I'm mistaken. I got to look it up. Check it out on Baseball Almanac. And the great Rob Lukacek, who he went to Henry Hudson High School. And I believe he's the general manager of the Somerset Patriots, an independent baseball team now. But he was a good guy. He made the major leagues, and we played a lot against each other through the years when we were younger. Well, anyway, I thought I'd share that story. Dave Gass, hope you got a kick out of that. It's funny how, you think when you're young, these athletes are like immortals and they're heroes and shit. They're just like anybody fucking else on the job, drinking and smoking, Too bad I didn't grow up and do shit like that, right? Wink, wink. Everybody, all the best and God bless. I am the one, the only, big, huge Met fan to Jets and Mets, all the losers. I used to tell my dad, Pop, why couldn't you be a Yankee fan and a Cowboy fan or a Giant fan? You had to be a Jet and Met fan. You fucked me up for life. Everybody, all the best and God bless. I'm the one, the only, FGF Productions. Have a great Saturday. God bless.
Bat and a ball and a field to throw and hit with the some